Hey, glad you're coming in with relevant rants. I think we're ranting today, Mike. Just you
bit.
and I.
Just you and I.
Hey, but
we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. Hey, if you ever want to live in LA, pick your own place. Now's the time. I mean, I guess you can put a wooden structure up on Hollywood Boulevard and call it your house.
Apparently, they're just. And did you see the washing machines? They got electrical. They're tying into the gas and the sewer and everything. It's like, hey, I'm just going to move outside and not pay any bills, and then y'all are going to pay for me.
You know, remember in the Wild West when they used to take stagecoaches and they would ride out, and pick up a steak and stuff? I go, that's the way it may be. I used to live on Venice Beach in an apartment, and I remember that was pretty cool. So maybe
did you build it on Venice Beach or
no?
It
was funny because the original apartments were tore down and they were rebuilt back up
by
pretty much in the same place. So, yeah. So hey, this is part of the news. Hey, guy builds a wooden house on Hollywood Boulevard.
But you know what? What's crazy is they're talking. There's.
He said it gives him empowerment.
Elections. Yeah, it does. Apparently, he has an
address.
It looks like from reading the story, he's actually potentially like a good influence down there. But regardless, it's interesting because the two people running for mayor down there right now are like, oh, we're going to do this to help the homeless, or we're going to do this to help the homeless. But the current mayor is already saying, yeah, no, I tried that. Making it easier to be homeless just encourages more homelessness.
Well, I think they're going to even try to help them out financially and pay people to stay sober.
Yeah, how's that going to work out?
I don't know, but I can tell you this: when I was kicking anabolic addiction, that somebody paid me to get off. I mean, what's the method of proving you're off? Test. Right. Hey, we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
How hard is it to pass that test?
Hey, people beat tests. I mean, watch the movie or the documentary on Netflix called Invictus.
So the result, and especially they're going to do this in California, it's just going to be now people are being paid to be on drugs.
Yeah, yeah.
And build homeless shelters out in front that you and I pay for. Yeah. And all of you guys as well.
Yeah, I like that. Of course, we have Elon Musk. If you're out there and you're a fan of Twitter and free speech, which I don't know if all Twitter employees are.
No, they're
free
not.
Speech, yeah.
But they're using their free speech rights to complain about Twitter and all of that, right?
I think Elon's kind of a humorous
He's
guy.
a character.
He is. I mean, he walks in, there again, I'm just going to tell you this. I mean, I used to be part of a large international corporation, and we took over companies. And I remember I'd go in. I remember, Mike, one time, can I talk without getting a train wreck? You haven't seen the train wreck one? It's funny.
Yeah.
But no, I remember going in, and we were taking over a farming company, and they wanted to make sure that we didn't lose any data. And I was one of the departments I was over was IT. And I said, yeah, as long as I can get into the computer and hit the red button. Have you seen those red buttons on the computer that says "Don't press"?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I got to press that button.
Well, don't they? It's just like you have to pull them to start.
No, it's an open press, and it was an IBM 360.
Okay.
And,
yeah, I know what you're talking
had
about.
a big red button, and I've always wanted to press it, and I got a chance. So we got a escort out to the company with had a guard shack, and the high patrol drove me up, and they said, "Don't talk on the radio, don't anything." We went in. I walked in. They walked me into the computer room, and I went, bam. And I told the officer that was a company, I go, let's watch the phone lines now because they're just going to red. Because it was an international company, and man, it flipped up red, and they were all wanting to know why the computer was down. I go, we just took over. And so I went in and personally spoke to the head of my equivalent for their IT department. I told him, I go, hey, I hope you know that you no longer have a job.
Was this the one that there's a longer story to? You almost got arrested or something?
Well, there was a lot of people. Yes, there was a lot of things with it, but I had to have the escort out there. So stuff happens.
Yeah.
When one company buys another company, or a person like Elon Musk, you're going to get fired. It's just the way it goes.
Well, but a lot of people over there deserve to get fired. And if you guys haven't seen there was, and Alex said it might have been taken down. So, sure. But there was a viral video going around, Tom, of a day in the life of a Twitter worker, and they're basically like, "Hey, I start the day by partying, and I end it by partying, and I just sleep all day."
See, you don't post those videos if you want to keep your job. You just don't post those. You don't tell the new boss that you don't do anything at work.
And then they have their list of demands, and I'm sure
respect was at the top.
Right. Which. Hey, we should respect people.
Yeah, we should.
But Musk does. But they're like, their definition of respect is not actually what the definition of respect is. They're like, hey, let us do whatever we want, right? Don't fire me, please.
Right?
Right?
And I'll just say this. there's a thing called the golden rule in business. Those who have the gold rule.
Right.
That means your boss hired you,
but there's nothing abnormal for a new boss to come in and take over and fire a bunch of people either.
No,
right?
no,
especially
no.
the people that are just wasting money. Their literal
That's
job
you
is just to censor and ban people.
I feel bad for the people because they don't have an income, but I do believe they've probably made a lot of money and hopefully had put some away.
They're just sitting in the hammock all day while they're going to continue doing that after they get fired. But while they're still working at Twitter, they're sitting in a hammock all day, just pressing the ban button. That's their job.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Alex Howell will like the word allegedly.
I would hypothetically get my Twitter account banned if I complained about why I got furloughed from a incident 2 years ago.
We don't want to do that. We're just sitting here, and I feel bad for them because I really feel for humans, and I feel that everybody needs a fair shot. And I thought Elon Musk made a big point when he came in with the sink and said, hey, let this sink in, because I think he was making a point. I think it's been so public. I think that's a problem too, Mike. I think when people make things so public, one of the things that I see a lot of is when you have to go down to divorce court, and in divorce court, they're making decisions based on, two people that were in love at one time, had children, and now they're just figuring out how to divide their stuff and their kids. And that's really heartbreaking. My brother worked as a bailiff in family law for years. We have a lot of friends that do family law, and it's heartbreaking. When you see things like that happen to the point where you're making these decisions in the law now. And I think when you look at Elon Musk, I mean, hey, the snowball's been rolling down the hill for a few months now.
But he came out and said, and this was, I think, in a letter to his advertisers, and was basically more or less like, hey, we should have an open town square where we have free speech, right?
And I'm all for that.
And which kind of brings me into the next story, which was about our local bakery, Tastries.
Yes.
And our friend was highly involved in this.
Yeah,
as well.
Angelo, one of our major co-hosts on Ministry Matters.
Yeah.
Which we're dropping some of that with Angelo. But Angelo was very close to that, and a judge decided that it was okay to uphold this Tastry Bakeries in Bakersfield's right to decide which customers they were going to make cakes for.
But it was a major victory for freedom of speech and freedom of religion.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is this a local Bakersfield issue, so local to us, but it's national news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, well, they kept elevating it, and then it got kicked back down into
but they ended up winning. So
they did.
Good for them.
They did. Yeah.
Now, how much money did it cost them to win that? I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's, ways to settle that or to talk about that or find that out, but why?
And
it's just great.
It was just a matter of someone trying to push an issue to make a point that shouldn't have been made in the first place.
Well, I think if you look at our legal system, it came through. I mean, there's some times where we're seeing it and it doesn't look like it is coming through. So, it just is. So hey, next week we want to just encourage people to get out and vote. And I think, as you're going out there to vote, you got to vote for for the candidates that you like. But I think it's interesting that there's a certain party right now that's just having a trouble with their message.
Well,
and we don't even say it because they're just having a hard time selling their voters the fact that we did a good job. And I'm sitting there going, hello, yeah. and this is some of the things that I hate the worst is when people deceive others.
Oh, well, you know what Biden said the other day about the gas prices? He's like, hey, it's lower than it was when I came into office, claiming it was over $5 when he came into office, when everyone knows that it wasn't.
Not.
And then he even got the current price wrong. But the sad thing is he actually just has no idea, right? And that's one of the reasons Obama said what he said.
Well, I mean, yesterday they had a hot mic of him and I think one of the party leaders talking about current elections that are coming up. I mean, I believe this, and I'm going to go back to the Bible. The Bible says that there is no government that's established that's not, there because of he wanted them there.
Right.
And I don't know what that means.
That's
we talk about that all the time. I mean, I remember the last election that we had on our church. We had prayer for all the candidates. Mm-hmm. All the candidates, not picking one over the other. But it's just hard when a group would just continue to not tell you the truth. That's what bothers me. And I think too, and I think some of the stuff we went through with the pandemic, we're going to get to see a couple of them under oath testify on some things they say. I mean, you have Anthony Fauci, and what do you have? What's the name? Jen Psaki. I always thought it was Paskey, but I know I get corrected. It's Psaki. But it's just, they're looking at internet censorship, that the truth wasn't told. You know what I feel bad for, and I feel bad for the press secretary now. I felt bad for the press secretary under Trump too, because questions come at them. I think they're like having to come up with questions like this, and I think you watch the current press secretary.
Oh man, train wreck.
I'm not sure she uses notes. And I'm just saying that because I think as these questions come up, she's like trying to figure out what the heck, where that come from.
I mean, that's part of the job. A lot of it is. Like.
What's the
answering
one guy?
Questions on the fly, but she's making up stuff on the fly, but not even doing a good job at making it up.
Well, and you're like, what's the guy's name that always asks for the question? Peter Ducey.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, if you want to get a good entertainment, just turn on that. And I'm thinking, holy smokes, how would I answer that? You're being in her shoes,
right?
Trying to spin the answer the way you want it. I like to be upfront.
Well,
I think on this show we are up front.
They're being proactive about coming out, and interesting. We're talking about censorship and Anthony Fauci and Jen Psaki and all this stuff, right? Everyone was censored for saying, questioning the election and all this stuff, but they're being proactive. They're like, oh, we already know we're going to lose, so let's just start laying that groundwork now with Abrams in Georgia.
Didn't Hillary Clinton come out and say?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, wait a second, you can't do that.
No, they can. They're wearing the right colors. Yeah. They're playing for the right team.
Rules for me and not for thee.
Right?
Yeah. Honestly, that it's like I think people would like to just hear the truth. What are you gonna do? Not tell us what the other guy didn't do. Right. I think we're pretty smart with that. There again, I was the corporate secretary for the Latino Coalition, and part of what we did was go out and help people register to vote. And I used to tell people, I go, hey, both parties have a chance.
Yeah.
To get the attention of potential voters. I can't help it if they don't. It's like it's part of that. So I like it. Are we ready for our feel good story?
We are.
Hey, Larry the cat. There again, I'm a cat guy, Mike. You know that. I got daughters, and I
don't know why you.
I got a cat named Rocky,
that idea,
and I got a cat named Zuri, and I got to tell you, Mike, I'm looking at another military dog too.
There you go.
Yeah, I am.
A proper animal.
Yeah. Well, it's larger. It's a Malinois, and I'll tell more about that later. But Larry, who is Larry? Larry is the longest resident to 10 Downing Street. He's been there for 11 years. You know what his job is, Mike? He's the head mouser.
Okay.
Yes, and Larry the cat's there, and it's crazy because he comes out and he stretches and people scratch him. He steals the show sometimes.
That's the one thing cats do well.
Yeah, they do. It's like, and I'm like, does he have a competitor for his job? I mean, do people every year have to come in there and say, can you catch more mice than Larry?
Oh, we should put him in Twitter headquarters to catch all the birds too.
The Twitters, that's funny, Alex. That's funny. So I just thought that's a feel good story. Just hey, you got a cat that is on film and doesn't really care if he is on film or not. He lays down.
He doesn't even know if he's on film.
He doesn't know if he's on film. He just steals the show, and he keeps his job for 11 years killing mice. Yeah. Catching mice. Says he's I don't know what he does with them when he catches them.
But that's something we're doing now. We're leaving people with something to feel good about right at the end.
Hopefully you go out there and read about Larry, because I think it's a cute one. He's been there longer than any one prime minister. Okay, Mike. Hey, yeah. I love doing it with you. So you guys have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed our rant.
Yeah, have a great day.
If you do not agree with him, let him know. And
or let us know in the comments.
Yes, I know. We're just kidding. We're having fun. Hope you are too.
God bless.